Alright, here's our demo for today. I haven't done a demo since the little roller stamp, so trying to get back in rhythm of that. It's going to take 3 underglazes. It's going to be a red, a yellow, and a black, and a designer liner. So the tree image transfer that I've made to make all of these, I'll show you in a separate video. Basically, if you have your designer liner, you can trace a couple of pine trees off of the internet if you just print some out. But so let's start. I'm just going to lift that up. I have a mug. It's still a little leather hard, so it'll still kind of accept the glaze. I'm going to start by putting down a white slip first, so I know that that underglaze has a really nice white canvas to start from. And this slip is Loafer's Glory with a little bit of deflocculant in it. It's what we carry in the studio, just our regular like decorating slippity bar. And for glazing purposes, so I don't have some complete deviated line, I'll put the liner of the slip on the inside once this is all over with. So I'm going to take a little bit of that bright red first on just a little tile, because I want that bright red at the very top. It'll start to blend. And then I'm going to let this dry. So I want that red, that top part to be pretty red. And then I'll just fan it down until it just, there's nothing left on the brush. So you start to get a little bit of a color gradient. So on my palette I have a little bit of the yellow, just a regular yellow, and I'm going to mix just a little bit of it to kind of make that yellowy, that bright orange. If you have orange, go for it, but I don't have orange, so I'm gonna make my own using that yellow. And now I'm just going to put down some pure yellow. There's a little bit of that red color still in my brush. I kind of don't really care because I want it to kind of blend. go over the top. Blend it down, pick up some of that yellow. Alright, so I really like how that's going. So I'm going to stop there and I'm going to let it dry. And then once this dries, then we're going to come back and put the mountain silhouette on the bottom. Alrighty, so our surface is dried and I am going to pick up some black on my brush and just wiggle around. Just kind of jump up and down to make that mountain. And say if I don't like something here, this looks kind of weird, I can come in, make it look a little bit more mountainy. More jagged instead of so perfect. But I at least have a better judgment of what's going on. You want your underglaze to be fluid enough. A lot of times when we get it out of the jar, it's sometimes a little bit too thick, but we also don't want it too runny. If you do water your glazes down, your underglaze down, remember you're gonna have to do a couple extra coats to make sure once it fires, it shows all the way through. Sometimes when we put our underglaze on and then we fire it, it looks a little pale. It's because we didn't get enough coats on it. So always be sure you want to read each underglaze has a different layer quality that you need to have on there. Some say 3, some say 2. There we go. Nice little silhouette. Alright, so we're going to let our black underglaze dry, and then we'll come back and we'll apply our little trees. Alright, so our black underglaze has dried and I've made little trees with our designer liner. And I'm going to have a damp sponge. I don't want it to be too wet, because when I push my sponge onto my my piece here, I don't want my sponge to smudge or mess up what I've already got going on. A lot of times when we do our underglaze transfers, we put slip on and then transfer it. So on this one, we're going to actually just go ahead and use water, as plain water, as our little bit of a transfer. I am going to take and kind of pre-dampen just lightly on that outside, not enough to like smush it or anything, but just enough so it's kind of translucent. Then I'm going to find a spot where I like it and I'm going to place it down and I'm going to stick it on, and then I'm just going to hold it there just like a temporary tattoo. And then once I can tell that it is not squishy, because we don't want it to squish out like the center of a cookie, we're going to go ahead and lightly burnish. from the inside out. Never try to just go from the top unless you hold it down. There we go. And now we're going to lightly peel this up. We're going to peel slow, so if it doesn't come off, we can figure out a way to lay it back down. And there we go. So it lifted up a little bit of that underglaze there. We can go back and fix that. So that's not a big to do. So I've got my next one. I'm gonna lay it down. Find out where I like it. Hold it down just like a temporary tattoo. Burnish. And then peel it off. Like I said, if there's little spots like right in here that kind of didn't come through, we can always go back and kind of fix that up a little bit. No big deal. Next one, or we can even kind of overlap them just a little bit because trees grow right next to one another. So let's lay that one right there. See what that looks like. There we go. And if you are so inclined, you can add a little circle somewhere close to the horizon to indicate the sun. You don't have to. It's kind of a nice little touch. I think I'm going to do just trees on this one, so I'm going to go ahead and add trees all the way around, and then we'll come back and look at the end. Alright, so we've got all the trees on, and I'm going to go back in and kind of touch up some of the spots. So I'm in the garage, and of course, like, it's the beginning of May, so all the bugs are out and about, and when you fling a bug away, you end up with that. You get a little smudge spot. So let's talk about fixing that little smudge spot. I still have a little bit of that red left. I'm going to clean my brush out really good because I switched to the black. You want to make sure that that doesn't transfer. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to grab just a little bit of that. And there we go. Put it towards the center. Give it a little spin. So the next one I'll show you guys how to make the trees. We'll do that on the next video. See you guys later.